Fishermen. The lobstermen will put to sea long before the appearance of the first tourist. Those who worry about the demise of this most traditional of Maine occupations should take a look at the faces of its practitioners. Many are young people, following a way of life you have to love to endure its ups and downs.
I don't fish any great amount, somewhere between 500 and 600, that's all. I don't want any more.
Lewis Alley says he loves to see youngsters take up lobster fishing, although only one of his 3 sons chose it for a living. Lewis fishes out of South Bristol.
So this is just how bad they are right now. Look at that.
Lewis Alley is one of those people you feel you've known all your life within 5 minutes of making his acquaintance. He's not happy, though, about the fishing so far this summer. So it's been slow?
Wicked. Terrible. See, not even shot in them, see?
Why is it so slow?
I think the water temperature was so cold this spring, and now it's warmed up in a hurry.
You may escape the tourists out here, but there's no escaping the kidding Lewis has been taking lately from his fellow fishermen. This one a relative.
I want you to smile and don't give me any crap.
You out riding in your boat?
That's I'm riding in my boat.
Over there on that float board.
Lewis has been taking an awful riding since he surprised a half-naked sunbather recently while pulling traps near shore.
What they're teasing me about, there was a bathing beauty up on laying down on the float. And I went in maybe from here to stern from the float. She sat right up and she says, "What are you doing?" And caught me kind of by surprise, and I said, "What did you say?" She said, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm riding around in my boat." She says, "You're doing more than that." Normally I have an answer, but I didn't have a very quick one then.
I know I've been waiting 25 years to get something on you, and I finally have, ain't I? Huh? Taking a long while, though, isn't it?
We would see Lewis Alley later for something cool after a long day on the water. First, more exploring of Pemaquid. Another meeting with my retriever friend in the village of Round Pond. A look at what may be the tiniest Victorian house in Maine. It measures just 13 by 19 feet, 1 room up and 1 down, owned by a couple from New Hampshire who must love each other dearly. But the Victorians were relative latecomers to this area. They were English settlers here as early as the 1600s. Their dwellings have been excavated at Colonial Pemaquid, dedicated this June as a National Historic Landmark. We would end the day with another history lesson, a cooling one at that, a visit to the oldest remaining ice house in Maine.
It was the only source of keeping things cold that people had.
Inside the Thompson Ice House in South Bristol is frigid evidence of last winter's heavy snows, still atop the ice blocks that were cut from Thompson's Pond. 5 generations of Thompsons cut ice here to fill the ice boxes of summer vacationers and preserve the catches of local fishermen.
It was the only source of keeping things cold that people had. All the summer folks and all the winter people had their own ice boxes, and somebody had to furnish the ice.
The business ended in 1985 when the old ice house was near collapse. But a group of interested citizens, including Norman Hamlin, got together and raised enough money to rebuild the ice house and turn it into a working museum. Each winter, volunteers get together, cut the pond ice into blocks, and fill the ice house in much the same way as the Thompsons did.
Now, what do you do with the ice today?
Well, we show it here in the museum. We sell it to people who are interested in having ice for parties.
People still buy it?
People still buy it occasionally.
And so, on a hot day in South Bristol, Maine, you can reach into an old Eddie icebox, made in Boston and still bearing the Good Housekeeping seal. Pull out an ice-cold root beer cooled by frozen spring water from Thompson's Pond. The box courtesy of the family of one Seymour Stone, who had it delivered to his cottage in New Harbor in 1926, there to do yeoman service until the 1950s.
Boy, it makes you appreciate refrigeration, doesn't it? What a lot of work to keep things cold.
That's what did in the old ice houses, Mary. Actually, most of them fell down. They had a funny habit of listing or leaning to the south because the ice would melt, the sun being in the south, and all of them would sort of lean, and sooner or later down they would go. Every community had them, and it's interesting to talk to older people in communities even now and find out where these old ice houses were.
Fun to see the one you saw still standing.
That's right.
We'll have more of Chronicle right after this.
Maine in summer is for unwinding, the simple pleasures to be enjoyed. A walk in the fog at Pemaquid Light, the family dog taking its young owners for a walk in Round Pond, a game of tennis in Christmas Cove, children waiting for the mackerel to bite in Johns Bay. There is time aplenty to look over a lovely Friendship sloop for sale, but memories of scraping and painting other wood boats bring me back to earth. The Chevy and I push on up the peninsula to Damariscotta Lake in Nobleboro, there to visit one of the new breed of New England camps. Camp Kieve was founded in 1926 by the father of Dick Kennedy, who had searched all over New England for a place to build his dream camp.
And he finally found this place, which is a gorgeous place, and he lived in this house, actually, for a whole year, talking two half-brothers who hated one another out of letting him buy their property so that he could form this one camp.
Kieve was a traditional summer camp for boys for nearly a half-century. But in 1973, Dick Kennedy turned it into a non-profit corporation and soon began offering campers more than the traditional menu of canoeing and volleyball.
That enabled us to attract contributed dollars, tax-exempt, and to build facilities that would be useful to helping poor rural communities in Maine whose children didn't have all the resources available to them, so that we could help those kiddos and those teachers and those parents learn how to make responsible and safe decisions about alcohol, drugs, teenage sexuality, and that kind of stuff, the motivational stuff.
The summer campers are here mostly for a good time. The serious stuff comes the rest of the year in residential and in-school programs that will reach more than 5,000 Maine youngsters every year.
Nice job! Nice job, John.
The goal of the camp?
To have them experience something very simple in a gorgeous place that will change the way that they relate to each other and hopefully make them feel better about themselves and therefore feel better about their place in the world and perhaps become a little bit more contributive than they might have been if they hadn't come to Kieve.
Now, how did it feel the first time you climbed up there, John?
Well, the first time you're up there, you feel like, you just don't want to do this, and you feel like you just want to go back down. Yeah. But, you just say, the heck with it, and you just jump.
Nice job.
The Kennedys believe camps get across lessons schools have never been very good at. Character building, self-esteem, personal responsibility. So successful is their approach that the camp will be offering its programs to schools in other New England states, including Massachusetts. For now, though, the real-world issues are on hold. For the next few weeks, Maine will serve as an escape for millions who feel burdened by the pressures of everyday life. Forget the tranquilizers. A little dose of the Maine coast will do wonders for your blood pressure.
And if you head up to Maine this summer, you're going to find real friendly people.
Maybe extra friendly. There's actually a formal campaign underway, Mary, by the Maine tourism folks to get Mainers to be friendly and to teach, treat tourists right this summer.
But you've always found them.
I think that they've always been unfairly maligned. I've found them to be the friendliest people in the world.
So much for that cold New Englander image. All right. More after these messages and tonight's Lottery Live.